Welcome to a brand new episode of the Post Game. I am your host, Davion, and I'm joined by David,
Yeah.
Lillian,
What's up?
and Michael.
What's up?
How y'all doing today?
I'm ready for this podcast.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like you guys don't know this, but this series is we pre-record them in like bulk, and so every time I'm asking them how they're doing, this is probably the third or fourth time we've asked them in the day, and so it gets really redundant. But yeah, welcome back. We are talking in our Let's Talk Basketball series. I think second to the last one, third to the last one, something like that. I've enjoyed the series. I don't know about y'all, but always remember if you ever have a comment about this, our thoughts, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we really appreciate it. But hey, we're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, and firstly, I will start off with our usual thing of highs and lows. Like, what do we think they can reach, and what do we think they can't? And so let's start off with that, and then I have something to share.
I'll give him a high of Western Conference Finals and a low of first round exit, but I don't think that's super realistic, but it's a possibility.
I got him at least, Western Conference Finals, 2 or 3 seed, then lowest probably around 8, 7, but first round exit.
Best case scenario, Western Conference Finals. Worst, first round exit.
Yeah, for me, I have Western Conference Final as a high. Worst, I would say second round. I think they have to make it to the second round. After that team that they have is just too good to not make it out the first round. But you never know who they get matched up against. They could get matched up against. I mean, because last season we saw the Brooklyn Nets be an 8. So like, I mean, that's if they were playing in form, they would be hard. But so pre-recording, before we recorded this, I asked the guys this question. So I asked a bunch of my friends in my friend group who was better, D-Book or John Morant. Here's one of the texts I got back. So I said D-Book or John Morant, and his response was build a team around or right now. I said both. All right, so answer both the questions. He goes D-Book right now, build a team around Ja. And I said, I don't think Book is that guy. And then he responded, they both not that guy. If you being real, Ja is way overrated. So talking about that, what do we think? Ja is way overrated?
Not way overrated.
Let's say this.
Okay, take the way out. Is Ja overrated? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not way overrated, but yes, overrated.
Lillian, do you think he's overrated or not?
I think he's overrated.
And David, do you think he's overrated or not?
Really, I feel like he underappreciated. But
Okay, so I don't think he's overrated at all. I think he is either underrated or right where he needs to be. I think he's right where he needs to be, realistically. So y'all can have at it. Why is he overrated?
So first, let's say, where do we think that Ja's at right now?
Like in the
Top what? What's Ja right now? I got him top
20.
He's in the top 10. Not top 10. He's like in the not top 10. He's like in the top, close to top 10, maybe like 15 to 11 to 15.
I'd go
So I got him
top
there.
20 to top 15.
Okay.
But not like in that gap, like more of it could be closed. Like he could be 15 to 10, or he could be 20 to 15, in that gap like that.
Here's one thing about John Morant is I think he's a very flashy player. He's an exceptional finisher at the rim, not a great shooter, and not a great defender. I think it's also very important to bring up his team played extremely well without him. His team statistically played better defense without him. Their offense was more well-rounded, and their best win in the playoffs was like a 40-point win against the Warriors, and that was without Ja playing. So you have to bring up that question: is it necessarily that Ja is like all that good, or is the Grizzlies team surrounding him really good and he takes advantage of that?
yeah.
And I think Ja Morant is a great player. I just don't think that he's top 10 like a lot of people say.
So I think it's funny you said that. I think Ja Morant, when it comes to Ja, he has that thing that no one on that Grizzly team has. That ability to win the game by himself. that ability to make those buzzer beaters, that ability to really be that guy. And so I think time in and time after time, we have seen him become a game winning like player. And I think like in order to really say he's not a big contributor to that team, I think it's harsh because I mean, I don't think you said that, but I think he has showed us time in and time after, like time out, that with him on the court, this team is drastically better because they can, like he has that ability to hit those buzzer beaters at the end. Because who else is going to do that on this for this Grizzly team? There's no one else. There's no other there's no other star leaning superstar on that team.
There isn't. I'll give you that. There's no star leaning super. I won't consider him a superstar now, but there's no other star level on this team yet. The only reason why I say Ja is overrated, I think right now he's a phenomenal young player.
Yeah.
He has a lot of potential right now. But looking back at the other undersized super athletic guards, we got Russell Westbrook, we got Jalen what's freaking Rose.
Yeah, Derek. I'm gonna say
Derrick
he was in
Rose,
my mind too. He was in my head.
Yeah, Derrick Rose. But they just get injured way too easily. They rely on too much of their athleticism. That's why I think he's overrated. I mean, I hope nothing but the best for the dude, but I mean, knees give out all the time, So I don't know if he can last another 10 years at this elite level.
Hey, and I'm willing to admit my view on if he's overrated may be slightly influenced because I see a lot of, on social media, they love to post where he almost posted somebody. And it's like, there's no reason he missed a dunk like that. You have set him up for the name Jalmost. But I also would like to say his game is very one-dimensional. And I think that's why I would not put him top 10, but I see a lot of people put him top 10, and that's why I think he's overrated. Is because the general consensus by a lot of people is that he is top 10, but I don't think he is. And I think that if he can develop a shot this season, then sure, I'll give him top 10 and he's not overrated and he's one of the best players in the league. But as of right now, he's not.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I compare him to kind of a Russell Westbrook type player, but in a more winning mentality type player. I don't feel like he's overrated.
Good point, David.
But I do feel like, all the social media and stuff, that what makes him overrated. But really, he's like within that 9 to 11 range of top players in the league. But he's just like, and he's only gonna get better. And he's so young. It's his fourth year. Like he's gonna be something in this league. He's gonna be a star.
So, David, to your point, to one of your points, I think we see I think there's players in every sport that get extra amount of coverage. Like last season in the NFL, we saw Trayvon Diggs, the tight end for Dallas. He get all this coverage because he had the cornerback, not tight end. Yeah, you're right. The cornerback for Dallas get all this coverage because he got so many interceptions. But on paper, he was one of the worst cornerbacks in the league, right? And so I think when it comes to Ja, it's I'm not saying he's bad whatsoever because he's a top point guard, but because he is in the media so much, everyone's expectations are already twice as high because of what he has shown, because of all the highlights, because he can dunk on people, because XY game winners, whatever the case may be. But I also think when it comes to Ja, unlike Russell Westbrook, I feel like your point, David, he has more of a winning personality. He's not about stats. That's and we've seen over the first couple of seasons, Ja has never been about stats, but Russ Westbrook obviously is. And
I'm not gonna say Russ is all about stats. But
we're not gonna argue about Russ right now because he is all about stats. When it comes to Ja doesn't care. He cares about one thing, whether it's him doing it or his team doing it, and that's winning. And we've seen it time in and time out. And we saw in the playoffs when he went down, it was about him supporting his team to win the game, not about him missing out on it being the MVP or whatever the case may be. And lastly, I think when it comes to Ja Morant, he has potential to improve his game shooting wise because we know that's one of the things he's not the best in. But I think we've seen a progression of him trying to be better at it. And I think that's what is showing. And some of the great players over time, they're not just great because of their accolades or because of what they have done. They're great because we've in the off season or during the season or whatever the case may be, we've seen them want to, and we've seen them grow to better things in their careers. Like LeBron, he wasn't the greatest shooter coming out of college. I mean, out of high school, but throughout his career, he's gotten better and better at shooting the ball. And I think Ja will take that same route and will become better at shooting that three ball.
I wanted to say something, but the dog gonna overtalk.
Go ahead, you're good.
But I feel like, yeah, like you said, I'm gonna compare him to more Dame type winning mentality, but skill wise, Westbrook. That's how I see John Moran as.
I take that. I match that. So
Yeah.
Go ahead. You can go ahead, Michael.
So going back to the original question, who'd you rather have on your team, John Moran or Devin Booker?
I mean, it's hard. I love me some
Devin Booker's so one-dimensional. Give me John Morant.
I mean, John Morant's one-dimensional too, though.
But wait. But here's the thing: when it comes to John Morant and Devin Booker, yes, John right now he might be one-dimensional, but we see him working on his three-point shot. Devin Booker does nothing but shoot the ball. That's and
yeah, that's right.
Well, that's like that. Like that's his primary. He's a shooting guard. All right. So his primary job is to shoot the ball, plain and simple. And so like that, we've seen that's what he does. That's why he's one dimensional. And that's why he's already hit his peak. Plain and simple. He's hit his peak.
I mean, here's what I'll give you. As a Warriors fan, who would I rather have on my team? As far as what I'm looking at needs for the team and everything, yeah, John Morant. That's a young player to develop. He have a lot of shooting to learn behind. I mean, that I would take John Morant instead of Devin Booker. So I think Devin Booker is a bit too cocky for him for his own good.
He's very arrogant. Yes.
I will say, I'll take Ja, but I disagree with your statement about him being Book being one dimensional, because if you've seen him play defense, like actually play defense, he can really strap up. He can really play make. He can really shoot the thing. He can really do all. Except defense is just his main problem.
But the thing is, Devin Booker doesn't ever really seem to show the want to do that.
Right there. He never shows that he wants to play defense ever.
And that's the difference between him and Ja.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I like Devin Booker. The only reason why I picked Ja is Devin Booker. I mean, you could tell he wants to win, but when it comes down to a game 7, he's gone. He's not even on the team at that point. Like, that's why I can't. Who can trust Devin Booker in that situation? Yeah.
Exactly. And because we've seen in the playoffs of the past 2 seasons, first in the finals and then last season what was it, not Western Conference, but was round 2, I think they got out, or whatever the case may be.
Semi,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We see them crumble completely as a team. We including Devin Booker. Like for your team, and I'm talking about the entire team now, but for your team to lose at home in a game 7 to the Mavs and get blown out in the first half, like that's just not a winning mentality at all. And it just shows that. Go ahead, David. I see you have something to say.
Because I was gonna say D Book didn't play terrible in the finals. It was just a couple of games, but he didn't play terrible.
Listen, Devin Booker's a regular season player. Just like who did we just say is? We just said somebody else was last pod. Who was that?
Jimmy
I don't
Butler?
remember who it was.
We said
He's the opposite. Regular season.
yeah, we said Jimmy Butler.
Oh,
Jimmy
Butler is not a regular season, but yeah. But that's it. He doesn't show up when it's time to show up. Plain and simple. But so okay, back to the Memphis Grizzlies. Someone said this earlier, hit on it, that this team without Ja still won so many games, right? And so this team and they picked up Danny Green this offseason, who can add veteranship and can help Ja work on that 3-point shot as well. I mean, Jaren Jackson's been there. Baines is there. Brooks is there. like this team is so Clark is there. This team is so loaded, and someone that I really like, and I think when they picked him up was the biggest addition. Steven Adams, man. I think he provides that team with like so much leadership and the fit. Like he's a strong defender and he's a big guy, and I think he definitely is the heart of that team. One of the hearts of the team, anyway.
Memphis based off of grit and grind anyway. So he's just like perfect for the team.
Remember, what was his name? Zach Randolph? He's a dog.
And then also I love how they drafted Kenny Lofton Jr.
Oh, yes. I mean, Lofton he's shown the G League and in their first preseason game that he deserves to be where he is.
He got the strap. He a big boy too. He can bring the ball up the court. He can defend like, I don't know. You might see a little breakout next 2-3 years.
They also have, Jaren Jackson, who's an amazing defensive player. And I will say, but with Jaren Jackson Jr., got surgery during the offseason. It says here his recovery time is 4 to 6 months. So possible we see him at the beginning of the season. Also possible we don't see him until December. So, and Danny Green, I know tore his ACL or something in the playoffs. So who knows when he comes back. So early season, questions, but I think by the time the postseason comes around, this will be a pretty healthy team, and they have the pieces to make another run.
And a player that needs to get more props is Desmond Bain. Yes. I mean, his shooting, yeah. So, no, this is a really well-constructed team with or without their star player. I think that's one of the most important facts about it. We're just talking about the Mavericks earlier. Like, if Luka was gone, that team would be lost. So it's a good thing. On one hand, it does seem like he is relying on the system, but, I mean, that's what's exciting about the team is that they're good without their star player.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, about Ja relying on the system, he still works in that system that they are running. Like, give props to the coaching, because they have a plan about, even if you take Ja out of this still needs to work, and we've seen it work, and I think it can still continue to work at a very high level. But I think when it comes to Ja, and when you take him out, then the question becomes, okay, who's our new number one guy? Because whether you like it or not, every team has a number one guy that at the end of the game needs to take this shot. And if you take Ja out, there's no number one guy there. And I think he just adds more structure and plan and awareness to that number one spot position. And I think that's why he is so important. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, as we begin to close a little bit, any final thoughts about Memphis?
I think they're a good team. I do just want to give y'all one last question, one last hypothetical.
Yeah, for sure. 2019
draft, redrafted. Who's going one?
Zion.
You still got Zion?
Yeah.
Zion.
I think he still is. I've had my share of thoughts about Zion Williamson. We won't cover him in this episode, but I still think because what, his first season he averaged 28 points. Did he?
That was the time.
As a rookie, I think you still have to give it to Zion, because Ja's good, but Zion is physically, and if he can stay healthy and he can keep that weight down, I think he becomes a completely different player.
Yeah, I think that's
completely different.
We saw what he was doing when he was arguably overweight.
Yeah,
the way he slimmed down, he's still just as muscular.
And he's so much faster.
Yeah,
he's so more explosive. But I think you still have to take Zion. Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah, but I'm taking Zion. No disrespect to Ja. Ja's still number 2, but
I think Ja understands that as well, that he would still be number 2 when it comes to being drafted because of how good Zion is. But yeah, man, that's it. That's everything.
Oh, one name to be on the lookout for on the Grizzlies: Zaire Williams. That's all I gotta say.
Who?
Zaire Williams.
Okay. All right.
I'll say Brandon Clark is a super underrated piece of this team.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like he's that big, isn't he? Yeah. He was where was he? He was still there last season.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about somebody else. I'm thinking about that guy, that big in Brooklyn,
Blacks,
with the dreads.
Nick Claxton?
blacks.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah. I
He's-
mean, Brandon Clark, he's a 10-point per game scorer. I just think that he was a really underrated piece of that team.
Well, we we appreciate y'all for listening. It's always a fun one when we get to talk about some of these top teams and especially top players like John Morant. Let us know how you feel, man. D-Book or Ja. Let us know who would you start your team off with. But Lillian, Michael, David, I appreciate y'all for joining. I've been your host, Davion, and this has been the post game. Peace.